You know, I was just thinking about how many people come to Jung's work feeling completely lost about who they really are, and I've spent years studying exactly why this happens through Jung's lens. Let me share with you what I've discovered in Jung's clinical work that explains this profound sense of disconnection so many of us experience. Stop for a moment and think about the last time you looked in the mirror and wondered who that person staring back really was, beneath all the roles and expectations. That feeling of being disconnected from your authentic self was something Jung encountered constantly in his practice, and his discoveries about why this happens are more relevant today than ever. In my research of Jung's work, I found that he identified what he called the persona as the primary culprit behind this existential confusion. The persona, in Jung's framework, is the mask we present to the world, the social face we develop to navigate relationships and professional environments. But here's what Jung observed that most people miss. The persona isn't inherently negative, it's actually necessary for social functioning. The problem arises, as Jung documented in hundreds of cases, when we become so identified with our personas that we forget they're merely costumes we're wearing. I remember studying one of Jung's most famous cases where a successful businessman came to him utterly exhausted and depressed, despite having everything society told him he should want. Jung discovered this man had become so completely identified with his professional persona that his true self, what Jung called the self with a capital S, had been completely buried and silenced. This is where Jung's genius really shines through, because he didn't just identify the problem, he developed practical methods to help people reconnect with their authentic nature. Take a deep breath and consider how many hours of your day you spend performing rather than simply being your genuine self. Jung developed what he called active imagination as a way to dialogue with the parts of ourselves we've neglected or rejected. This isn't some mystical exercise, it's a practical psychological technique where you create space for your unconscious to express itself through writing, drawing, or simply allowing images and thoughts to arise without judgment. What's fascinating in my study of Jung's approach is that he didn't believe we should discard our personas entirely, but rather become conscious of them so we can use them intentionally rather than being used by them. Jung's concept of individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, involves recognizing that we contain multitudes, what he called complexes and archetypes, and that wholeness comes from integrating these various aspects rather than denying them. I've seen in my work with Jung's theories that the moment people begin this process of self-discovery, they often experience what Jung termed synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem to guide them toward their authentic path. The practical method Jung developed starts with what he called shadow work, which involves courageously looking at the parts of ourselves we've rejected or hidden because they don't fit our ideal self-image. This isn't about indulging negative traits, but rather about reclaiming the energy we've spent repressing aspects of our personality that actually contain valuable qualities when integrated consciously. Jung's wisdom here is timeless. He believed that the goal of life isn't perfection, but completeness, not being good according to external standards, but being whole according to our own inherent nature. The transformation that becomes possible when we apply Jung's methods is nothing short of remarkable, as people begin to live from a place of authenticity rather than constantly performing for approval. Now, what I find most exciting is that tomorrow we're going to explore exactly how to recognize when your persona has taken over your life, using Jung's specific indicators that he documented throughout his career. This is crucial because without understanding these warning signs, you might continue living someone else's idea of who you should be without even realizing it. Jung's insights on this specific question are absolutely essential for anyone serious about their psychological development and authentic living. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about when you felt that disconnect between who you are and who you present to the world. Make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's exploration builds directly on what we've discussed today and will give you the practical tools to start reclaiming your authentic self right away.